UAP are airborne objects that, when encountered, cannot be immediately identified. With regard to the importance of transparency, the Department is fully committed to the principle of openness and accountability to the American people.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh my gosh, dude.
U.S. Navy personnel recorded what appears to be triangles, some flashing. The video was taken through night vision goggles with a single lens reflex camera.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty high-profile incident. I don't claim to be an expert. You're the guys investigating it. I mean, who else is doing it?
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I hope you're enjoying your Saturday night. Before I begin the show, this is dedicated to those who have been ridiculed, dragged through the mud, and made fun of by the media for the last 76 years. In today's show, I want to get into what we call maybe electromagnetics, things that would 100 years ago would make people think it's magic. So let's begin the show by showing some photos and then a video. And what you're seeing here is just a streak. It is a blue sky, a beautiful blue sky that day, and this was going up towards the clouds that were very, very high. But in this area here, it was blue, so you can see this white streak. And I didn't really catch this because I was actually looking elsewhere in the photograph, thinking I caught something, but this was there. On the next photo, it's a little bit of a close-up, and as you can see, this is the same object. And what I did, I went to my filtering system right away, and I wanted to note that it didn't take much to bring out a specific shape of this this object. If you'll look, it's surrounded by cold air, according to our scientists, of course. I've said this 100 times, and I'll keep saying it because I'm only going by what the scientists say. The center is density, and actually, from what they tell us, it's heat. Next photo. As you can see, in a closer view, you still got the surrounding area, cold air, and then you can see seems to be a ball inside of it. Now, at first I said, well, this could be a probe, but it was traveling way too fast. At the 17-second video that I took of this, and we're going to be putting that in a few seconds, you're going to be able to see what I'm talking about. And the last photo on this part, and it's a better close-up of it. Take a look at that center mass there. Now, if you look at the surrounding of that center mass, it has a distinguished shape to it, and it's more arrowhead shape. Is that the air around the whole area being pushed away? Is it being sucked in? We don't know because we're not inside the craft. We have no idea how these craft work other than maybe electromagnetic mechanisms that they have, inertia. It could be all those. Who knows? So let's go on to the video, and I'll show you what this object was doing. Do you see it on the left side, just streaking on by? Okay, so what we want to do is, if you look, when the very beginning of the video, you'll see my roof in the very bottom. Go up and you'll see a white dot up there. That's an airplane, a jet airplane going by. In the 17 seconds, he wasn't moving. Now, he only moves backwards because I moved the camera. I wasn't on a tripod, which I always encourage people to do that. And let's take a look at that. So keep an eye on that shape until I move it. And you see it standing still. Now it's going backwards, so it leaves a streak. But that was an airplane. I could see it clearly. And now the next loop, let's take a look at that object to the left up there in the darker blue. And we're going to be looking at the blue area, and you can see the streak going up as that object is standing still. That just goes to show you how fast it was actually going. And again, that object there is only making streaks because I moved the camera in super slow motion. So if you concentrate on that blue area up there, you can see it streaking right, look at right up. That's how fast it was going. Okay, so let's go on to the next photo. And I circled it here, and there is a dot in the center of that. And I want to show you how far away it was. This is the actual picture. I didn't blow it up or anything, just to give you an idea how small these objects are. Let's go to the next photo. That's the dot we circled. And then we're going to give you an idea of the shape of this object. From here, you can actually see a shape to it, but I want to show you it more closer up on the next photo. And this is it right here. Now, it looks a little bit blurry because of the cloud cover. It was very low cloud density at that time, and I think it interrupts the photography. And maybe if I'm taking stuff in slow motion, it may give some distortion. Next photo. See, this is what it looked like. It was shaped like a hat, and with that, I can only assume that this is the iconic bell shape. I call them hats, but in the old terms, during World War II, they had a thing called the Glocke. It was the bell, and so I would imagine this is similar to that. Next. This is the end result of that picture. And as you can see, there is different layers here. You got the green area on the outside, that's cold air. The darker area is part of the craft, but for some reason, it shows 3 different layers. And I don't think I've gotten this too many times before, and I've taken thousands of photos, but for some reason, it gave me a lot of layers here, and I didn't change any of my software. I usually go through a sequence. Let's move on. And what here you're going to see is a dot by my flagpole. And this is a UFO that looped around to the left of the sun, and then it came around, and that's where it ended up. So let's go ahead and play the video. Next shot. That's the closer of it. I'm sorry, no video. It's closer up of it. Next one. Closer. Then the next one. You can start to see it's getting a shape. Now remember, this is coming down, and look at it. Looks like kind of like a bullet, but the top of the bullet, if we would call it that, is on the top, not the bottom. So again, they're not touching our atmosphere. Next photo. As you can see, it's flat on the bottom, but that's where it was heading. So again, they don't have to use our air. I believe they have some kind of force field that they can move in any direction. It doesn't matter. There's no aerodynamics when it comes to their craft. Next one. And this is the photo here. You can see my flag in the bottom waving. And if you can see the craft, it zips around and it ends up by the flagpole. That's where the 17-second super slow motion ends. We're going to loop that a few times for you to see it. Now these super slow motion videos are very important when you're going to try and capture some of these craft, because if you were to do this in regular time, you won't find these craft. It takes a lucky snapshot in order to catch them. And in the very beginning, when I was doing all this, I would just take it in regular video, and I didn't see that many UFOs. But when I would stop the video, just out of curiosity, because with my eye, I don't have that great of eyesight, but I would use a ×5 magnifier, and I would see a flash, or a dark or a light flash. Sometimes they come in like little dark polywogs, and sometimes they're white. And once in a great while, when I'm playing the videos, when I would be playing the videos in regular motion, they would appear just a streak. So that's when I started stopping it, going back and forth, and playing with it. And that's how I discovered that if I can slow them down, I could probably catch them. And next thing I knew, I ended up getting a phone that had that ability, and that's how I catch these UFOs. In all my videos. Now I don't take videos in regular speed. I have taken in slow motion or super slow motion. It all depends. So that's interesting. And it's, another interesting note here is these were all taken on November 19th. That was within a week of this airing. So that's not a long time, you know, where you have on a lot of shows, they show you things that happened 4, 5, 6, 20 years ago, even 50 years ago. I'm showing you stuff that just in the past week. And I think that's enough looping there. But what I'm getting at is that when I'm showing you videos and photos, I'm taking them all week long. When I tape the show or videotape a show, I'm out there looking for the next show and then the next show. I'm ahead of myself by sometimes as much as a month. And it's important for me because at any given time, I can feel like, hey, there's something out there. I need to go out there and start videotaping or taking photographs. And so I'm always on the ball. This past week, I caught more than 30 UFOs. And they're going to be coming up the next couple of shows. But again, I tell the audience, go out and take videos. Go out there and take photos. They're out there. And it just, use your imagination. We'll be back after this message. Hi, I'm Joseph from UFO We Want to Know. And I'm here to tell you about the tumbler lady at the farmer's market at Tractor Supply in Pahrump every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. These tumblers are locally made and have specialized designer toppers. Great gifts for Christmas or any holiday, and all can be custom made upon request by emailing the tumblerlady1@gmail.com. Also, you can purchase tumblers and mugs that I mentioned on UFO We Want to Know, aired every Saturday at 7 p.m. on KPVM TV channel 25.1. Thanks for supporting local Pahrump businesses. Thank you for joining us, if you're just joining us rather, but thank you for staying with us. On this next segment, what I have for you is our 9 photos and 1 video. You notice that I have this mechanism right next to me. We're going to be getting into that. But on this particular segment, I want to show you this craft that was sending out a kind of a electromagnetic flash. And it has to do a lot with what this mechanism is all about. And we'll get into that as we go on with the show. So with that, let's start with the first photo. And we're going to be showing you actually 5 photos before we get into the video. And what you're seeing here is the total shot that when I first took it, okay, of the video itself. The next photo. This is a object that was streaking down from the clouds. It's a 17-second video, and this was taken October 14th, 2023 at 9:21 a.m. in Pahrump. And if you'll notice, there's not 5 or 6 objects. There's only 1 object here. But as you can see, even from this photo here, that's how far away from the first photo. I wanted to show you the far away view of it. But this was rocketing across the sky in Pahrump, Nevada. And it was going so fast, it left that many streaks behind it. So let's go to the next photo. And I got the first 2. Remember, there's only 1 object here. But look at the electromagnetic charge it's sending off. That's incredible because all of the dots that you've seen on the previous shot show this same flash on all of them. So whatever was propelling this craft, it had to be a very high power source, maybe a high voltage source, because from the beginning, and if you look at when you see the video, we're only going to show you when you can see it coming into the clouds. And the reason why is because it was going so fast. It was a 17-second video, but in only 4 seconds, it crossed the sky. So it had to be going maybe Mach 200. Next photo is a close-up of it. Can you see that charge coming out of it? Now remember, it's going down. It's not going up. But look at the charge. It's setting off like a magnetic field in front of it. Is it inertia that's involved here? Because if we were doing that in one of our craft, we would be sauce inside the craft. There's no way that we could travel this fast. And now this was pointing east. So when I was looking at the camera, I was actually looking towards Las Vegas. So when this craft was coming down at that tremendous speed, I noted one thing about this when I replayed it back over and over and over again. It never lost that burst of energy there. And that's what it could be, just a burst of energy. But look at that center mass. That's, from our scientists' view, that's considered heat or mass. Take your pick. I don't even think they even know. But the government knows because they have these craft. And they know what charges this magnetic field here is. They know exactly what it is. I know they do because there's been too many accounts. The whistleblowers have said the same thing, that over the years, that there is a high voltage when these craft are starting off the ground. You can feel the electricity around you. So I have I can almost say for sure, and someday I'll be proven right, that these are giving off a high voltage electricity, some kind of film or some kind of a burst that propels these craft in these fantastic speeds. Next photo. It's a little bit more of a close-up. As you can see, you got a little discolorment around the white. It started to turn pink, and that could be because of the software. But I started to get a blue ring around the center mass. If you can see it, it's dark, and then you got like a corona mass around that. It's very small, but it's there. And then you got, of course, what scientists say is cold air. Now, if that is an electromagnetic charge, I wouldn't want to be near it. Cold, hot, whatever. I wouldn't want to be near it. It would most likely kill a human being. So now, let's go ahead and go to the video. And I want to show you this craft. And you'll be able to see it go through the cloud to the left of the sun. It zips by the cloud. Now, we did slow it down. We put an arrow up for you so you can see it. And we're going to loop this a few times for you because it's so important for you to see. You remember, we slowed this down at 50%. Now, it was in super slow motion, which is only a 17-second video, and then we slowed it down again another 50% from that super slow motion. And look how fast it still goes. It leaves the streaks. We'll loop this a few times for you so you can see it. Watch when the arrow comes up. It actually starts on the top of the sun all the way on the very top of the screen. That's where it actually starts. But we put an arrow there so you can maybe get a grasp of it as you follow it down. It goes to the left of the sun. Interesting, I get a lot of these videos, a lot of these photographs of this type of ship. But I'm showing these because of the device I told you on my desk here. It all I think has a story to tell. That magnets it's not a new thing. Magnetics, they're not new. Magnets go back 2,500 years ago from China and India. They're in their texts. So magnets are nothing new. So where did they get that information from, that 2,500 years ago? It could be that these craft crashed back then, and there may have been magnets or some kind of old school magnets in those craft that crash. Who knows? We don't know. It's never been clear in all the readings that I've looked for. I've never really found any clarity on it. This would be the last loop, and we'll go on to the next pictures. But isn't that interesting to see something flying within our atmosphere and going at that speed without setting off a sonic boom? That's incredible. Another photo, pretty high up in the sky. We had not low cloud cover, but we had just regular a regular day here in Pahrump, and this was just last week again. These were taken on October 15th, actually, so a couple weeks ago, at 1:05 p.m. And what we're going to show you here is several photos of the same object, no video, just photos of it. Sometimes when I catch these little specks in the sky, I'll play with them a little bit. I'll change the background. I'll maybe try to distort it on purpose to get maybe an object to maybe show something else that maybe the human eye can't see. And I do use magnifiers when I look at these photos. Now, on this particular one here, I used a times 20, and it's the same little deals that the jewelers use to look at diamonds. I have one of those, and what I do is I try to look up on these in its raw form, and I find that some of these are honeycombed, and when I blow them up, the honeycomb disappears. But if you take it on the raw form, and you actually, when you look at it in the raw form, you can catch details, but you have to be very meticulous, because at any given time, you move just a slight bit, the object is so small, you'll lose it. You got to play around with a magnifier. It's very, very hard to do, and it's a lot of strain on your eyes. But if you're into it like I am, it's worth it. Let's go on to the next photo. A larger view of it, as you can see. And interesting enough, like the first segment, I talked about the Glocke in World War II. This was supposed to be what they called the Glocke in Germany during World War II. They believe it was a time machine. We call it the Bell in English. And something like this in Pennsylvania had crashed years and years ago. We're talking, I think, 40 years ago, and they think that's what it was. Next photo. Here's a closer image of, and familiar to you. Look at the outside of it. We got cold air again. We got density, which means heat. All these craft do this. Now, if you take a picture of a blackbird, a crow going through the sky, and I've done that, they don't give off a glow like this. If you see an airplane, a jet airplane, they don't give a glow like this. Only these objects give off this glow. Now, I can probably manipulate that, but why would I want to do it if I took a picture of, say, a crow flying over? Why would I want to manipulate it to prove a point? It's for you to take pictures yourself and see for yourself. And then the next photo. As you can see, when I get into my software, I end up showing different colors within the craft itself. I don't seriously believe that I'm taking pictures of the craft's interior, or maybe it's giving off some kind of electromagnetic field and it's giving off these colors. I don't know. I'm not a professional photographer. I do want to talk to a photographer, a friend of mine who knows about all this. Again, we're talking about, we're not talking about film here. We're talking about cameras that are in your phone. And I need to educate myself more on the difference and the manipulation that you have when you try to zero in on an object, and what the types of interference you're going to have. And so maybe I'll have some clarity and I can bring that to you as I go through my shows. But interesting about this object is it never changed its shape. From the very first photo, I was telling you that I use magnifiers, and when I zoom in, I can actually see that shape. And they never lose their shape, no matter how fast they're going. It doesn't matter if the object is standing still and then takes off, it keeps its shape. Now, at the end of the show, we're going to show you something that's very interesting. It's counter intuitive what I'm saying, that they do change the shape. Depends on how fast they're going. And at the end of the show, we're going to show you something that was probably going Mach 200, Mach maybe even faster than that. It was interesting, and again, it has to do with this little gizmo here on my desk. So we'll be back after this message, and please stay with us. Hi, I'm Joseph from UFO We Want to Know, and I'm here to tell you about the tumbler lady at the farmer's market at Tractor Supply in Pahrump every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. These tumblers are locally made and have specialized designer toppers. Great gifts for Christmas or any holiday, and all can be custom made upon request by emailing the tumblerlady1@gmail.com. Also, you can purchase tumblers and mugs that I mentioned on UFO We Want to Know, aired every Saturday at 7 p.m. on KPVM TV channel 25.1. Thanks for supporting local Pahrump businesses. I hope you're enjoying the show, and thank you for staying with me. On this segment, I have some photos from you. No videos in this segment, but I want to show you some photos that I thought were very interesting and were conducive to this particular show. And it has to do with magnetics and whatever's powering these craft, and maybe someday we'll find out what's powering these craft. I believe that that's going to happen pretty soon, the way that this world is going. So let's get on with the first photo. And what we have here is a very, very cloudy sky. There was some low density there. The darker the clouds, the lower density, and of course you got a lot of rain involved. But this particular craft, I got nothing but photos of it, of these next two UFOs I'm going to be showing you, no videos. And what happened was, at first I thought that this was part of the clouds. I zeroed in on the very, very first picture. This isn't the whole picture itself. I had to zero in because it was like a speck, but it was a UFO. So let's go on with the next photo. It's a closer one up. I got rid of a lot of the background there. I kind of cleaned it up so you can see this object. It was coming down from what I'm imagining, because as I said in the previous segment, we don't know if it's going up, down, sideways. There's no aerodynamics. But when I was taking this photo, I took 3 photos of it, and it was on the bottom of the last photo of the 3. This one here was on the top. And so I can imagine it was going down. Next photo. This is a close-up of it. As you can see, this is only the third photo of it. And every time I show you a photo, I remastered the photo itself. I remaster it. And what that does, it gives clarity to the photo. These smartphones nowadays has that ability to actually cleanse some of the impurities that you find in these photos. And if you have a smartphone, you most likely have that same option on your phone to, instead of, if you take a picture and you got maybe red eyeballs on somebody, you can actually clear that up on your own phone. You don't have to send it in and take a picture and send it into a photo place and have them do it. You can do it yourself. Next photo. This is the close-up of it. As you can see, again, you have an interesting part here. You remember in the very beginning, you saw clouds around it? Well, I found that when there's dense clouds where there's rain, instead of it being white around it, meaning cool air, it gives off this dusty, dark area. And I believe it's the cold air coming off of it. The center part, you can see there's a mass there. If you look at the center of it, the dark, solid part, look around it. If it's orange or red to you, look around it, you'll see a crust going all the way around it. I believe that's the actual shape of the craft. Density could be only what you see in the pixels of your camera. And from that crusty part, then you have a more or less a solid darker line going all the way around it. This one has several layers to it. But I believe that dark area there on the very outside, I believe that's cold air coming off of it. Okay, so let's go on to the next photo. And actually, both of these were taken on November 15th. The first one was taken at 2:46 p.m. in Pahrump, and this one here was taken at 1:05 p.m. in Pahrump. So this was actually taken before the other one. So this tells you an awful lot about what's flying around in our skies. So that's the end result of that first one. Let's go on to the second one. Again, really far up in the sky. This is not the same object. This is a different object. Really far in the sky. I didn't have to put a circle around this one because it stood out. Next photo. Starting to show its shape. If you had a magnifier in the very first one, you can actually see the same shape. But I remaster it. I bring it in. From here, as blind as I am, I can still see a light ring around this particular craft already. Next photo. Again, here you go. It kept its shape, and you got that white ring around it. Cold air, center density, heat. I wish our scientists would come out today and expand on what they believe these craft, why they give off cold air from the heat in the center. It's the reversal of what we would think would happen if we had something coming through the atmosphere. As you've seen the space shuttles, when they used to come through, they used to light up. I'm sure that the gaseous steam coming out was not cold air. I can assure you that, because it was the friction of our atmosphere coming in. This one here kind of reminds me of a little jello ball. And you know, for those of you like those little jello treats, that's what this reminds me of. It's similar to the bell, but not as high. Again, it could have been because it was so far away, and it maybe it was tilted away from me that it looks like it's smaller. But again, it could be a bell also. And then the last photo of this. Take a look at this object and around it. You got the cold air, you got the density, and in the center it seems to have gotten lighter. But that could be the pixelization of my camera. It could be the filtering system. It could be a lot of things. Again, as I said, I need to talk to some professional photographers. Maybe they can give me an idea of what I can do when I put it through my filter system and try to get a better look at what we're seeing here. And while I was talking, I kind of lost count. I'm not sure if this is the last photo, Mikey. Okay, so this is the last photo. So while you're looking at that, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about this electrolevitation and magnetic fields that we see in a lot of these UFOs. Back in 1922, Hermann Kepler began his research about magnetic levitation. So this is nothing new. And the device I have on my desk, it's just a device that somebody came up with. I'm not exactly sure who invented it, but there's a lot of these magnetic levitating devices around the market. You can purchase them. They're not that expensive. You can get one for $50, $60. And they're kind of therapeutic for a person who is constantly thinking about UFOs and going out and searching the skies. I come in and sometimes I like looking at it. Mine is the constellation globe, and they have other ones you can buy if you want the Earth, you want the moon. They have those, but I thought the constellation one was neat, so I purchased that one. Understanding magnetic or magnets is something that has thrilled kids for I think, probably decades, because I remember when I was little and we would play with the magnets, and you remember you'd flip one magnet over and it would force the other one away from each other. We're talking about positive and negative poles. But I thought that was such a fun thing to play with when I was little. And now, today, as we see these UFOs, we talk about anti-gravity. We're talking about counter-rotating magnetic flow. And I think on these craft, I believe myself, I'm not a scientist, as I said before, but I believe that when these craft are flying, they have, I'm saying nothing like we have, but I believe they have some type of futuristic magnets that are counter-rotating in the craft. And I think that's how these craft are propelled. If you look at this little gizmo here, it not only levitates through magnetics, but it rotates. I don't have to move this thing. If I do, it falls to the base. But look what we're playing with today. Some of the whistleblowers have said that when they were around the craft and the craft was starting to start up, fire up, whatever you want to call it, you can feel electric charge, almost a static electricity, and then you would have a bluish, I would say bluish black electric charge coming out, almost like lightning bolts through the craft, the bottom of the craft, and with lights going one way and then lights going around the other way, countering. I think that is probably how these craft are operating. And in some of the craft, some of the whistleblowers have said that they thought, well, maybe this is our craft, until they saw the small seats that were in these craft, and the panels, what they would guess were operating panels, there was hardly anything there. And that's because I think they use their fingers to operate a lot of the equipment in these craft, along with maybe headgear that goes around their head, and maybe they work with the craft. Because personally, I believe these craft are bio. I don't believe a lot of these craft are built. I think that they're grown. And if you start thinking on human terms, you can say, well, that's impossible. Well, flowers grow from little seeds into these beautiful blossoms. Okay, they grow. And some of them grow into plants that eat flies, eat rats, eat bats. So why can't a superior race out there, whoever they may be, how do you know they haven't developed something that far? If they're a million years ahead of us, anything is possible. Just like human beings, whatever we think of, we can do. We have a very, very, very limited mind that we use. Very limited. What, 12% now? We'll be back after this message. Hi, I'm Joseph from UFO We Want to Know. And I'm here to tell you about the tumbler lady at the farmer's market at Tractor Supply in Pahrump every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. These tumblers are locally made and have specialized designer toppers. Great gifts for Christmas or any holiday, and all can be custom made upon request by emailing the tumblerlady1@gmail.com. Also, you can purchase tumblers and mugs that I mentioned on UFO We Want to Know, aired every Saturday at 7 p.m. on KPVM TV channel 25.1. Thanks for supporting local Pahrump businesses. I want to thank you for staying with us for the last segment. I think this part of the show is probably the most interesting of all, partly because as I was talking through the first couple of segments, I was talking about how these craft give off electric charge. And on all the videos and photos that I've ever captured, this particular video you're about to see, and we're going to play this video in two different times. We're going to show you the video first, and we're going to be showing you that this craft is starting to come up through the atmosphere. It's going up, and then it starts to flash. But when it does, it seems to go in circles around the craft. You can see black and white going around the craft. And when we do that, we're going to end that video there, and then we're going to show you photos of that craft at that time in the photo. But we're going to play the whole photo all the way through. At the end of the video, it actually takes off. Again, it had to be in the higher Mach range, Mach 15, Mach 200. It was moving. And I'm going to show you the difference between, in the very beginning, the craft you're going to see, and at the end, the craft you see. It's the same craft. But by taking off out of the slow motion range, it just elongates. And I'll show you photos of what it looks like. So let's begin with this video first. Look in the bottom right of the sun, and you can actually see the craft. And we're going to loop this a few times. Remember, this is the right of the sun going up. It's going very slowly, just coming close to the sun. And then it just takes off. When you see it loop, that's because it just zoomed out, and that was at the end of the 17 seconds. Now, unfortunately, I didn't put an arrow on this particular video. I had some issues trying to get this particular video done, but I did take photos of it so you can actually see what it's doing. And as you can see, it's traveling through pretty close to the sun right at that point, just above it. And then it just takes off. So in the beginning, if you look at it in the beginning down there, the lower part of the right of the sun, that craft is in super slow motion, and it's giving off this magnetic field. Now, for those of you who have the 80-inch televisions, you'll be able to see it a lot better. I only zoomed in on photos, not the video, but I'm doing a lot of research on this particular video, but because it shows so much, you can actually see it from here, and it's tiny from where I'm looking at it, and I can still see it, so I know you can see it at home. Okay, so after this loop here, we're going to go ahead and show you the first photos. And that's what you were seeing right now. Now take a look at that that UFO. It's not black and white. The object is dark, but it's giving off this corona mass, if you will, around the craft. Let's go to the next photo. I zeroed in on it so you can get a better idea. It kind of looks like a stripe, but it's not a stripe, believe me. I watched this video probably 100 times. I used it under a magnifier when I was watching it, and I can tell you that this was an incredible object, and I'm sure scientists would be very interested in seeing this object for themselves. Next photo. That's what is so confusing there. Now, the object is dark, okay? And the white part seems to be going around that dark spot. It looked almost like it was going through like a screwball, going through the air. Now, look how small this object is. At the end of the session, you're going to see how long it got. But this is in super slow motion, and it didn't seem to be that big of a craft. But of course, it was far away, so this might have been a 40, 50-foot craft going through our atmosphere. Next photo. A little bit more of a blow-up. And again, every time I do this, I remaster the photo to get more clarity. And that's about as good as I can do. Now, remember, this is pretty far up there, and it was going pretty fast, and I'm doing this in super slow motion. So your software on your phone or whatever you're using is only going to give you so much clarity. It's not going to give you a lot. And I believe this is the last photo of this one. So we can go back to the video now. And again, I want you to concentrate not on the slow part where it's just coming up to the sun right there. I want you to concentrate on the very, very end and how fast it was going. And I apologize for not zooming in on this one. I really should have to have gotten my point across. But I think you understand when I stopped the super slow motion, it went to regular videotaping. It just took off so fast that not even a split second, you can't even call it a split second, it was gone. Let's loop that a couple more times so people can take a look at that object real high. Try to concentrate on the very end, near the very end, so you can see it just leave the atmosphere or go straight up or whatever you want to call it. Because it's so important for you to see that now, because this craft it was amazing the way it was accelerating. So when it started to leave the atmosphere on the top, it didn't seem to pulsate, but you know it did because you saw it in the very beginning. So when it leaves the super slow motion, I believe that you can't pick up the pulsating of the ship itself. I think that's what happens. Again, I have to get more clarity as far as photography, videography. I have to get more clarity on that because I'm not up to par as far as what we see. Okay. After this, we can go to the next photo. And as you can see, it gave off a little bit of light. Not a lot, but a little bit, as you can see. And it started to leave at this point in time in this frame, it started to leave the super slow motion. And as you can see, you don't see stripes anymore. Next photo. I centered it again, tried to take the sun out of the equation so you can get a better idea of what you were seeing. It started to show at least some cold air around it, and then the center density. Next photo. Closer of it. And see, now you don't see the stripes anymore. All you see is the mass itself. I'm sure that's not the shape of the craft, because when we show you the last photos, you'll understand what I'm saying. But again, it's getting off this electromagnetic charge all around the craft, or as our scientists call it, cold air. If it's not touching our atmosphere, this has to be some kind of electromagnetic charge, maybe anti-gravity, and they have to have some kind of inertia, some inertia that we don't understand, because they're going too fast, and they make these sudden moves that are unexplainable to the human mind and eye. I don't believe humans can process what we're seeing when you see these craft flying in our atmosphere. The next photo. Close-up of it, again, it didn't change its shape, but take a look at the craft. It seems to be already starting to elongate at this point in time. So you've seen the video twice. In the beginning, we saw the end result. Now, I want to show you what I did with my software on this particular object, going to the extremes with it. Next photo. That's it up in the very end of the video. It took me a long time just to get this particular shot. And the reason why is because I had to keep playing the video over and over and over again, going back and then stop motioning it and then taking a photo of it. And this is what I got. This is about the best I could do. Next photo. Isolated it again. Take away the sun so you can concentrate on this object. It seems to have gotten elongated. And it doesn't seem to be setting off a lot of charge. Could that be because it was getting ready to start to leave our atmosphere? And is it because as it's lower, there could be maybe a differential in getting the craft out of our atmosphere. Like we have rockets, when they take off, they're using a lot of thrust power just to lift off. Could this be the reason why we don't see a lot of electromagnetic charge coming out of this craft? Next photo. That's a better view of it, but look how long it got from the previous video photos that we were showing you. That's incredible right there. You're seeing the light around it and a little blue haze in the back. But that could be anything. And I believe this is the last photo coming up. We got two more. Okay, so next one. And you can see you've got a shape that's being elongated here. From the very first one to this. This is all the same craft. And then the last photo. I went crazy with my with my filtering system here because I tried about 10 different ways of filtering this, and this is about as best I can do it. The craft itself kept its shape on this particular last series of photos, but take a look at this this craft. It went from a small object to a long object, and that could be because it was going probably Mach 15, Mach 200. We don't know. I can't gauge it. I don't have that type of software, and I'm sure that NASA or some of the other agencies could probably give you a better idea how fast these objects are going. I want to thank you for joining me this week. It was an interesting week. As I said, I got a lot of UFOs this past week after I concluded with this show here. And I'm hoping that I'm going to bring you more of these videos. If you would like to see something different or give me some ideas, write in and even to the studio and let us know what you think. I appreciate you watching me, and I hope to see you next week. Take care. Hi, I'm Joseph from UFO We Want to Know, and I'm here to tell you about the tumbler lady at the farmer's market at Tractor Supply in Pahrump every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. These tumblers are locally made and have specialized designer toppers. Great gifts for Christmas or any holiday, and all can be custom made upon request by emailing the tumbler lady 1@gmail.com. Also, you can purchase tumblers and mugs that I mentioned on UFO We Want to Know, aired every Saturday at 7 p.m. on KPVM TV channel 25.1. Thanks for supporting local Pahrump businesses.